You've been around a number of high-level quarterbacks, and just looking at Justin purely from the way he throws, if we can assume that he might not run as much on Monday night, how does he stack up with some of the best just pure passers you've been around?
Um, and I've been around some guys, and I've coached the position, although never having played quarterback. I don't know if I'm an expert on the throw part of it. I'd always dealt with quarterbacks as a guy that was a golf-related guy. Was more about, what you see in your feet and how to process more than the throw. So from a mechanical standpoint, I really don't get on that. I know Ryan's kind of worked a lot with him through the offseason to continue to enhance his movement within the pocket and how to keep his eyes downfield and stay with his reads and have subtle movements and staying alive, because he's a really good athlete that can take off, but how to move within the pocket and try to extend the play of the arm. He can make a lot of throws, make a lot of great throws. He throws a deep ball. He not only has a big arm to throw the deep ball, but he's really, really accurate with the deep ball. And I think Ryan's tried to do a tremendous job, he and Coach Dennis, of just trying to clean him up on the intermediate, make the high percentage throws more high percentage for him. So had a great week of practice last week and off to a good start here this week. So we'll see how it goes. Got a great challenge with the tremendous defense, tremendous secondary, tremendous coverage with Coach Saban, Coach Golden's background. We'll have our hands full for him throwing the ball. That's going to be for sure. He also throws the ball when protection's good, and that'll be a challenge with Alabama as well. So, but he can make all the throws, and at the same time, as talented he is, I think he's scratching the surface. He has a bright future in this game.
Next will be Ralph Russo. Ralph.
Hey, Kevin. When you came in with Ryan, what he and you envision for this offense? Obviously, you were brought in by Urban to make some changes. You had never worked with Ryan before, at least I don't think. Where did sort of your philosophies meld? What was his vision? What was your vision? And what were these again? So what was the evolution that you guys were looking to sort of take place on the Ohio State's offense?
I think with his background, having played in a similar offense, that in time, my background being older, it went from the original I formation, Midwest offenses that were ran. My college coach came from the Mid-American Conference, Nick Crum from Miami, Ohio. And when you went to North Carolina, he ran the sprint draw and the power and the counter and the fullback belly and the toss and power pass and sprint draw pass and counter boot and old-fashioned I formation plays. And we did that. And in time, the only reason why we changed when we went to Northwestern in the 2000 season was just a need of not having tight ends led to the evolution of running this offense. Well, Coach Day's coordinator at New Hampshire was Chip Kelly. Me and Chip had crossed paths through a mutual friend, James Patton, had got to know Chip when he was coaching at Rhode Island, and Chip was at New Hampshire, and now we're at Northwestern, and so we visited it. I think Chip kind of ran with it his way. We were kind of running with it our way in the spread. Over time, I was an offensive line background guy that had a little bit of quarterback play, but Ryan's a pure quarterback guy. But I think him being around his background at Boston College and his background being around some of his coaches that he had a couple stints there where with Coach O'Brien and with Coach Adazio, where he had some really good line background head coaches. So I think Brian's a skill guy that understands line play. I'm a line guy that knows a little bit about skill play, not a lot, but a little bit. And I think we have similar views, but slightly different, but they're cohesive in that we're playing through this spread game. When we came here, it wasn't like we were putting ideas in. We were learning what Coach Meyer wanted us to do, period. And we learned that style of offense and what the language was and the way he wanted to operate, getting the ball to Paris Campbell, and at the time with J.K. and Mike Weber, and throwing the ball and what J.T. Barrett could do with the line. Over time, with Haskins and the passing game, it evolved a little bit the next year. But that initial year when we got here was really just trying to be a great teammate and be a part of what Coach Meyer would always say, it's the Ohio State offense. And over time, each year, the Ohio State offense has evolved a little bit. And in Ryan's time and with him, we've changed a little, but really we haven't gotten away from trying to be physical, run the ball, score touchdowns in the scoring zone, take care of the football. Our vision never changed because we never got away from the core values. When I was at Northwestern years ago, and we changed to the spread, we never got away from the core values that Randy Walker wanted. We were going to run the ball. We were going to try to be physical. We we're going to take care of the quarterback. We we're going to not win the turnover battle. We're going to win the field position battle, play good defense, kick the ball well. Those are the same things we try to do here at Ohio State. Those will be things we'll try to do Monday night, because that's going to be the key to winning. So we've been able to morph and evolve, but it really just started with what Coach Meyer wanted. And since that time, we've kind of played to the strength of our players more than things that Coach Day or I or anybody wants to do.
Next will be Mitch Stacy. Mitch.
Okay, gotcha. Hi, Kevin. I wanted to ask you about Patrick Surtain. He's maybe the best defensive player in the country. Just wondered what challenges he poses to you guys, and what you have in your bag of tricks to try to neutralize that guy.
Well, his thing is of course, then they can do many different things with their coverages and adjustments, but in reality, he's such a great cover guy that basically you put an X on that guy because he's covered up, locked down a lot. And that being said, that he doesn't need to, have a lot of safety help or bracket help or inside help. He can play a guy one-on-one. So that allows the defense to then bracket other receivers, or that allows the defense then to cheat with linebackers and safeties to outnumber you and outgap you in the run game. So, he's a tremendous player, a guy we recruited hard. I know Coach Combs was disappointed when we didn't get him a few years back, and Coach Halfley and those guys were dealing with trying to get him in here. I think it was just Coach Combs back then, but he's a tremendous player. He's athletic. He's long. He's going to do a great job doing his part to helping what's a very, very strong defense do well. So I'm sure there's going to be some reads where the ball is going to go that way because Justin's going to fill the matchup. We have good receivers that goes to that guy, but he'll be he's one of the best players in college football. He has a great future playing defensive back. He's one of the premier defenders, and he'll have a great career, not only in college, but moving forward.
Next will be Barry Chapman. Barry.
Yeah, Kevin, you gave us a good good lineage of your offensive pass going back to Dick Crum. Where does your 07, 08 no huddle stuff fit in there? How much of that, what you did in Norman in those 2 years, tie in with any of the stuff you're doing now, or that really anybody's doing in this offensive world we live in?
Yeah, hey Barry, I hope you're doing well down there. Sending my daughter back down to school there in about a week or two. It's we didn't want to go or didn't plan to go no huddle when we're at Northwestern, but back then we were studying what Coach Rodriguez did. We were trying to find something because we did not have tight ends and fullbacks, and we did it in the spread set because that's what everyone did. And when I was fortunate enough to get hired by Coach Stoops to come to Oklahoma, we fiddled around with my first year or so, a little bit in some practices with Coach Long, but it really didn't fit the terminology we had at that time. It really didn't fit our guys. We were playing really, really good back then. That's the 2000, and in fact, that was the team actually played Coach Saban's team in 2002, and then the 2003 team that played in the Sugar Bowl. We didn't really come to it until the 2008 year when Sam was coming back. Bob came in the offseason and said, I think we need to look at no huddle. And I said, well, Coach, if you want to, we need to change a couple things the way we practice, because you got to practice a certain way. And I don't know if that fits the way you want to do things defensively. And I remember he had Coach Schneider came down that year from K-State. He was out of coaching at that time in their clinic. I remember I met with Coach Schneider and I said, Coach, I'm struggling because Coach Stoops wants to go no huddle. And I think that might mess us up because we're really pretty good on defense. What do you think? And he says, well, because you got a good offense, I think you're going to get more at bats. So, Barry, what we were able to do because of Jermaine Gresham, Brody Eldridge, a phenomenal player, Matt Clapp, we were able then to start doing no huddle with personnel groupings where we weren't spread out all the time, or it wasn't quarterback run game all the time. We were able to add the Mike Leach style passing that we continue to do that Mike had brought in there in 99. We're able to add that with now some really strong tight end play with Jermaine and Brody. We had a really good offensive line with Trent Williams and Phil Lodeholt and Duke Robinson and John Cooper. And we had some good players on offense. Manny Johnson and Joaquin outside. It was a really, really, and we had DeMarco and Chris Brown dotting the I back there. So there's some good players. But the deal was, I remember talking to Herb Street preseason. He said, you guys are going to be good. I said, Kirk, I don't want to say anything till after we get out of this game in the middle of October. But I think we're going to go no huddle with this multiple personnel groupings. I think we can mess with some people. Now the game is called, defenses have caught up. But I think that's from there when the RPOs started coming in, the multiple personnel groupings, offenses has continued to grow. There's still some great defenses, but you're going to see two strong defenses playing against two really strong offenses on Monday night. And that's kind of where the game's evolved. Even the pro game where guys are scoring 35, 40 some points now.
Next, we have Dennis Dodd. Dennis?
Hey, Kevin. I wonder, a lot's been said about Justin's guts and, taking the shot to the ribs during that game against Clemson. I wonder if you could portray from your perspective how that went with him playing with it. And then what was the difference between what Northwestern did to you guys and, why Justin and the offense prospered so much against Clemson?
Different defenses. Northwestern's, they played well in their bowl game against Auburn. I think they won 35-18 or 19. That really good season. They're, a little bit different, not as multiple with pressures or looks as Clemson, but they were, Coach Hankwitz is in his own way different, but a great coordinator and had a great run up there. And so, they were able to keep the ball in front of them. We had a couple of receivers out that maybe threw our timing out a little bit of whack. I think as much as anything, I think after a couple losses, it just looked like last week, Coach Day was able to, the last 2 weeks prior to that Clemson game, was able just to get Justin to settle down and get his eyes back where they need to be and not force plays and take what's there and trust what's there. And we're able to have some success in the running game. As the running game got going well, it was able to complement the pass game, and that was that game. This is a different game. It's going to be hard to run on these guys. They're strong and stout and keep our balance, but we got to find a way to keep the chains on schedule and try to find a way to get some first downs and try to find a way to get Justin going. In the game, when he took the hit, it was a big hit. And all we thought after that was, if he could go, we need to be very smart because, you weren't going to do a bunch of QB runs after that. And he was able to, I guess, come back and play. I don't know the conversations that he and Coach Day had, other than we just try to be really smart with the decisions we put. We still able to throw the ball. I think he showed a year ago, he took a pretty good hit and took a low injury in a rival game up north and came out and made one of the best plays of his life the next play after coming off that deal. So, he's been able to fight through some adversity, and he's a very good player, and he's a tough player. And I think it's just his DNA and his makeup, it looks like.
Next will be Bill Rabinowitz. Bill?
Hi, Kevin.
Hey, Bill.
Offensive lines need cohesion, and you guys have not had that luxury with the COVID situation that you've had. How have you been able, you and Stud, to be able to counteract that? And how important is the same kind of performance that you had against Clemson going to be against Alabama?
I don't know. I mean, we missed some of those games. We lose the Maryland game, then we lose our Illinois game, and then we lose our rival game. So we're kind of going every other week. But every day, this has always been a great practice outfit. Our Tuesdays and Wednesdays, a lot of good on good, whether it be individual periods, group periods, inside run periods, team periods. And that being said, sometimes our second team players, we do a lot of 2s on 1s. Sometimes our second team players are playing as some of the best players in the country in practice. So, we had a game where we had a couple linemen out, but to me, I wasn't really over concerned about that game. I knew we had some talented players coming in. I knew they'd been practicing well. So I actually think, I don't think you run the ball the way we've been running in a team that's not an option-oriented team and don't have pretty good line playing cohesion. And I think it's also complemented by couple really good tight ends that no one wants to talk about unless they catch a ball. Them guys block their butts off every week. So it's a solid front. Is it a great, phenomenal line? I don't know about that. But man, they're really good. They're great kids. They give us great practice habits. They're talented. We work really hard to try to put them in good schemes. It's hard because every team's out gapping you. Tough thing in college ball. 1 week it's this scheme, then it's that scheme. Then it's, every week it's different schemes. But Coach Stud does a great job. Those linemen are really playing solid. To me, you don't know if it's a good line to the end of the year, and you can look back and see what you did. So we'll wait till Monday night to see how good a line it is. And they're going to get their strongest test Monday night with Alabama's front because they're the best we've seen. But I got a lot of respect for our Coach Stud. I got a lot of respect for the O-line, and I appreciate that our group at tight end can complement and help those guys. And then with that, Trey makes the plays, Justin makes the plays. But without those cats up front, it wouldn't be the offense that we have.
Next, we have Sam Kahn. Sam?
Hey, Kevin. 7 of the last 8 games Alabama's played, statistically, their defense has been pretty good. I'm curious what you've seen that they've done well and that stands out. And on the flip side, with the success that Florida and Ole Miss had moving the ball, what can you take away from that as you strategize?
Yeah, the Ole Miss game's early, and I think it looks like, as they've been able to play, one of the best ways to get better is by playing. I think that's why we played pretty well the other night. We finally got to game 6, game 7, game 8. Typically, that's when we were, we'd have like one of our Big Ten road or home games that second, third, fourth week of October, a big game. That was kind of where last week was in our calendar of games, the way the schedule fell this year. So I think Alabama's gotten better because they've been able to playing a great league against great players every week. I know Florida got hot and I think got into a little bit of a shootout. Credit to Florida to making some plays and keeping some drives extended. But to me, I haven't played Alabama in quite a while. You watch them. I've always watched Coach Saban's teams. Shoot, I think the first year we competed against him was like 90, 91 at Miami, Ohio, when he was at Toledo or something, like 1990, I think it was. And he was the head coach up there. So crossed his path at Michigan State as well. Crossed him at LSU. And now here we are, seeing his Alabama team. They're a great defense with talent, length. They're going to make it unbelievably challenging. I just think as they play, they've gotten better and better. And, you can skew the numbers, and statistically, we can always make offenses and defenses look better than they are or worse than they are. The key things is the great teams do what it takes to win every week, and that's what their defense does. And that's what Coach Saban has done as well as anyone that's ever coached the game of football.
We have time for one more. Nathan Baird. Nathan?
Hey, Kevin, I was talking to some people around Thayer Munford the other night, and they were mentioning this meeting I think you and Stud had with him late in the recruiting process. You were having him kind of go through some offensive stuff. What do you remember about that meeting? And just what perspective do you have now on the accomplishment of him getting to Ohio State, getting through this season, or getting through his career, but then also the season he's had?
He, I'd gotten hired a couple weeks, and I don't know the issue with why we were taking a line, whether I don't know if we'd lost someone or someone that left or but all of a sudden we want to take one more lineman. We're going back and forth, and Thayer as I think a junior. I think is why I remember seeing Thayer myself as a sophomore when I went and watched the practice when his head coach, when he was at Massillon, when they were over at LaSalle at the time down in Cincinnati. Matter of fact, our punter Drew Christian was there, and he said, "Coach, I got a good punter." And Drew punted went across the field over the press box. I never forget that. It's like, geez, I've never seen a guy kick it over the press box. But Thayer, I remember Thayer's a young player, and Coach Meyer wanted me to go up to this meeting with Stud because I have a line background to give me my opinion. So we get down, we ask him like, "Hey, let me see you. Let's watch a little tape with you. Let's talk some ball. Tell what you know. Draw a play. His coach had him get in a stance and all. I looked at Stud. I go, "What's wrong with this guy?" And at the same time, because I just gotten here, I'm afraid, well, if I put my stamp on this guy, a thumbs up, and he's a flop, it's like, I don't know what I'm talking about. But the whole time I'm like, what's wrong with this guy? This guy's going to be an elite player. I know he's a 3-star recruit, but I thought he had a great, I thought he was going to be awesome. So credit to him now. He's the guy that stayed healthy. He's the guy that's worked hard to stay in shape. He's the guy that's gotten stronger. So Thayer himself has made himself into a great player. But I remember that first meeting, there's some hemming and hawing by a lot of people. And should we? And I'm glad we had the meeting. It was very quick for me to think he had a chance. Doesn't mean he's going to make it. He's made it because Thayer and his family and everyone has backed him. We've had great support here, but I do remember that meeting specifically in the Massillon. There's a little basketball game they're having up at Massillon. I remember things specifically. Coach Meyer, me, and Coach Stud sitting there one day with him.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to click on that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing, and come visit us over at BuckeyeGrove.com for all the best Ohio State information on the web.